Hello, good evening. Welcome to Behind the Scenes. They call me Stepney. I'm joined by Nena and Debora. Welcome to Behind the Scenes. It's great to have you on. I have to apologise because I've kept these lovely ladies waiting for me while I finish work, and they've been, able to continue. But welcome.
Thank you for having us and for the invitation to be on your show.
It's like I said, it's great. So we're in 3 different time zones. Is that correct?
Absolutely, we are.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's a first for me. Okay, so this is a behind the scenes first. We're in 3 different time zones. Nena, why don't you tell us where you are and a little bit about who you are?
Okay, thank you. So I am in United Arab Emirates. It's pretty late in the evening, 10:30 here locally, and who am I? I'd like to introduce myself as a working mom of 2 to start with, and then to say that I'm project management and quality assurance professional for the past 20 plus years. And since last 2 years, I can say I'm somewhat of a filmmaker, one way or the other, and involved in the film industry through and because of my older daughter, who is an actress and needs obviously parental support in this world. So that's how the whole thing started, which is how I met Debora. And then she will tell you how we met and what is our connection in a different time zone. We actually never met in person, just to say this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
And
Right,
Debora,
so
what about you?
I am speaking all the way in Brazil, in the tropical country. It's 3:30 p.m. for me right now. And I'm an actress. I have experience in film, new media, and theater. I play Elena on The Insiders, which is the movie that Nena invited me to join, which was an exciting process because it was my first time that I was invited to join a process, that I didn't have to audition or anything. And we met through Twitter. I actually met Tacylla, her daughter, which is our lead in the movie first. And then she reached out to me. I believe the movie was completely done or pretty close to be done. And she said, "Hey, Debora, would you want to step in and play the role of Elena?" And I said, absolutely. So I recorded my scenes all the way in Brazil, sent to Nena all the way in Abu Dhabi. And here we are.
You know what? This is something that's happening. Well, I've seen it happen twice now.
Okay.
Where nobody's met, and yet you still managed to film something and get it out there. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Debora, how did that come about? So, did you film it all yourself? Did you get somebody to film it for you? Tell me a bit more.
I filmed it all myself on my phone, my dear phone that I've had for so long, actually, as in all sorts of auditions and things. And I filmed it, and then I sent to the director, and then Nena approved it as well. And that was what I did. I did it all by myself, and we made this collaboration work. Outside of that, we also have a work of 9 different nationalities. So it's a very international project.
Yeah.
And Nena, let's go back to you, because I suppose this is all your idea. So
yeah,
without giving too much away.
The idea was 2 things. It was COVID, as so many people start their stories. It was COVID time. And then but it's true, people were not having jobs and not having works. And Tacylla, my daughter, she had an agent in UK. She still has an agent, but I'm not sure in time, are we talking about the same one or not anymore? In any case, people meet through agencies a lot, and people form friendship in that respect. So we were having friendship with people from the agency. And to me, I kind of thought of an idea, why don't we try to make a movie that the principal photography would be here in UAE with Tacylla, which I can manage, and I can get the crew and everything. We can manage the the physical part of it. And you guys and the two people that I'm talking about, actually ended up being three people, are in UK, in London. I said, you guys do your recordings. And then we had to create the story that the recordings would work. So who are these people? They have to be on Zoom. So then the story was, okay, so you are on Zoom, she's live, she's in a house. So then we build the story to make it, viable. And that's what happened, basically. The people recorded, they sent them in the editing room. They ended up being on Zoom. Deborah was kind enough to do a voice for another character that was required in a movie. And as she mentioned earlier, we met through Twitter, and I tend to somehow get involved with people in a sense that I trust them and like them, and I feel that this is something that we can do, collaboration with. I don't think that you need to necessarily have a family member or know a person live in order to work with them. So that's what we did, and that's how the movie was born. We had a great edit, though.
That's it's an interesting thing, because again, like I said, this is something that has come up at least one other time in this sort of scenario, but it's something that comes up when I speak to people after the camera goes off and after we stop recording. Everybody is sort of saying there's enough of us out there that we can just connect with different people and put something together and make it work. And it's usually, like I said, the results of the last one were fantastic, and it's had some great reviews. And like in your sort of one, yours was done via Zoom, and his was done via a telephone. So it looked like it was, so it's very, very similar. But
character, actually, she has a role on the telephone. Yeah. So I think, Deborah, you liked the experience, right? You felt that. I remember when you first saw the movie, you're like, oh my God, I'm there, I'm part of it. I don't think it was tangible before you saw it on the screen, right?
Yes, it was a very shocking experience. I always have butterflies in my stomach when I either see myself or hear my voice or just see my name in the credits at the end of a movie. And it was just so exciting, because I think the movie, if you think about it, doing the way that it was done, you would expect it to be super, I don't know, immature or anything like that. And it's, in my opinion, it's such a professional movie. It's such a professional thing, and it was done so well, and I had never seen that. And I remember looking at that and be like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in a Hollywood movie right now, and you can hear my voice, and that's me, and then you see my name, it's me. It was such an amazing experience for me. I just loved it, every second of it.
It's fantastic to hear you say that. And again, like I said, these connections are stuff that will help build greater connections between yourselves and other people that you're going to be working with, because you've got the talent, and that's evident. Is you've got a talent to film yourself and get that right and get what Nena wanted exactly, and then Nena's got the talent to then put it all together and do the editing styles of everything, and then you've got to go back in there and then do another voice for another character. So it's come together very, very well, and I can't wait to see it, because I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
but you will love it. I promise you will love it. That's all I can say. That's all I will say. But you will love it. I promise you.
What was life like behind the scenes for you guys? So this is a bit of a difficult one, because obviously you guys have never met, and you guys are doing your own bits in different time zones in different countries. I'll ask about this project, and then we'll talk about other projects as well. But what has life been like behind the scenes on this project for you? How did you find it?
Should I go?
Yeah, no, yes, please. Sorry.
Well, for me, because it involves so many moving pieces, so to say, and I'm a little bit of a planning freak. I think planning is usually my middle name. So for me, it was all about making the plans right and thinking at least 3, if not 5 steps ahead, to make sure that on the day, because we literally had 1 day to shoot from morning to evening, that we have all the pieces in place. So I had to constantly think about, okay, so do we have the recording in 10 days, and do we do a table read? Do we do like a dry run, or what do we have to do? So on the day when the crew is here and we have only that day, everything, just falls into place. So for me, it was just that part, to make everything organized, planned, and make it work. obviously in the background, because the movie was constructed in a way that it's a COVID. It's not just that it was a COVID baby, but it was about COVID situation and thematics. Then it was, for me as a producer, was about trying to place it and which festivals to go to. So I think even with you, Deborah, if I'm not mistaken, we were talking in a group chat, who wants or who thinks which festivals we should approach. And it was, I think, a lot of the teamwork involved to make sure that everybody feels heard, that everybody feels taken in consideration. I didn't want to make all the decisions on my own. I've given everybody an opportunity to give their inputs, which festivals to use, how. Even I remember, Deborah, I don't know if you remember when we were doing the poster, we were doing a few rounds of posters. So who likes what? Do you like the red letters? Do you like the white letters? So for me, it was about including people, planning and organizing, and trying to make this thing happen. And I've never done a movie, so after that we had a movie. So
it's, again, working collaboratively on a project like this. So I suppose that's the feel that you wanted. You wanted everybody to feel like it's their project too, I guess.
Yeah, I think that was, I think it was like that. Deborah, do you feel that it was a joint project rather than just a one-man band?
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite parts about the movie and about being involved, because it was such a collaborative process. It wasn't just as it was filmed differently. For example, you do your part, then you send, and you do your part and you send, and then you don't have any say in the movie. Everybody had a voice, everybody had a say. Even in the character, maybe, oh, I think I like this way, that I think the character should say this in this way, meaning this or meaning that, and very open to ideas. And then after that, we're also helping each other, for example, as Nena said, with the festivals, with the posters. So it was a collaborative movie, and I love that so much, because I don't see it happening often. More often you're just there, you do your part. For example, me as an actress, I just do my part as an actress, and then I don't get a say in anything else. But this one was a really much of, it felt like Nena wanted us to look at that movie and see a part of ourselves represented in that in a positive way. And I think that was just amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And how did you, Deborah, how did you find life behind the scenes? So as a one-man show or one-person show, putting this all together yourself, just your scenes, how did you find that? How was that experience for you?
It was a very crazy experience, but it was also really interesting. So, as COVID made many things, this was one of the positive things that COVID brought, which is actually a funny paradox, because the movie is about the sad part of COVID, and now I'm talking about a fun part of COVID. But it was because it opened the doors to actors about remote filming, and then, self-taping and all of that. So I was used to that. And then during the time of COVID, I realized, I don't need to be exactly, let's say, in Hollywood. I don't need to be exactly in LA or London or Vancouver in order to be an actress. You can do something from home, which of course you also have to be careful with that, because the internet nowadays is really dangerous. I had the pleasure to meet Nena, and it'd be a great experience, but unfortunately it's not always like that. And then behind the scenes, it was crazy, because at the same time I thought, okay, so I have to do this, and then I have to send it to Nena, but when are they planning? And then, for example, let's say a date for her is, for example, today for her is yesterday for me. Sometimes we have chat, and then texted me like, hey, good morning. And I'm like, I haven't even gone to sleep yet, but good morning. So the schedule and trying to fit everything and making sure that it was a good thing. And of course, there's a difference. For example, I film in my phone in Brazil, and then she has a different equipment in Abu Dhabi, with that work. So it was a crazy, but a fun, crazy process.
It's always interesting to hear how these projects come together, and it's always good to hear different sides of the project, if you see what I mean. So then I've got your side, which is putting everything together, getting the idea out there, contacting people, and making those initial connections. Deborah, I've got what you're saying is taking that risk, taking that leap of going, okay, I like the sound of this project. I'm going to give it a go. As you said, there are dangers on the internet and things that we all need to be aware of when we're reaching out and connecting with people. But you took that risk, and that risk has seemed to have paid off, because like I said, you felt a part of this project, which is what anybody wants.
Absolutely. It was a risk that was really worth it. And I am really proud that I did that. I'm really happy that I took that risk and I said, you know what, I think I'm going to go for it and let's see where it leads. And it led to an amazing project and a wonderful piece and wonderful people as well.
Plus, let's not forget, Deborah, we actually didn't discuss this recently, but something else actually was born out of the Insiders.
Yes.
It's the dialogue, the series that we started. We should actually continue. Stephen, we didn't mention it. So then once we figured that we can do this, the remote recording, so then I said, so I came up with an idea of Deborah and my daughter Callista and a third artist who is in London. She's the closest to you. She's in the same time zone as you. I proposed to them if they would like to do a scene where they would have not a dialogue, but a trialogue between three people, but they would just remotely record their pieces, and then I would edit them together. And I showed them the script. They liked it. They thought it was funny. And they had the liberty to portray the characters the way they wanted. Deborah did an amazing job in portraying a slightly mean girl, if I can say.
Thank you.
And she was really amazing. And she is an amazing actress. I keep telling her all the time. And then my daughter was just a typical teen. And then the third actress, Celine, she actually portrayed like, how can I say this, not to sound politically incorrect, like a blonde girl, so to say. She does very well. And we posted on Twitter? I think we posted on Twitter and we posted on Instagram. It came with some great reviews. So we did episode 2 and then we kind of fell apart. I think the beginning of the year was not a good time for anybody, so we didn't continue. But I still feel it's something that we could continue as well, because the three characters and the chemistry between them works very well. And again, it's recorded remotely, just edited together.
You know what? You should pick it up. You should definitely try and pick it up. I mean, like I said, there's a big market for it in terms of these
content,
bits and content and stuff like that. And doing it remotely just makes it even more interesting, because when you put out that message and people hear it, it instantly picks up. People go, I want to see how that works out. And there's good interest in it. Pick it up. Definitely should.
Yeah, the thing that I have a problem is that I don't have that many ideas. I'm not a screenwriter. So I had 2 good runs of 2 episodes, and now I don't have any more ideas. So if we come up with an idea, I'm sure the ladies will love to do it.
Well, that's where the internet is your friend. And there are plenty of screenwriters. And if any screenwriters are watching this, then, get in contact.
Please do.
Nena's details will be in the blurb. So get in contact and that's what we can do.
That's a lovely idea.
It'd be great to see. I think there'll be people definitely wanting to get in contact with you to try and help out, and cross even more different time zones and stuff like that. So
yeah, that would be cool. That would be actually cool, because when you think about it, so Brazil, UK, and UAE, and the 3 ladies recorded their bits, and then you just edit in sequence, and it looks like. And for some reason, Deborah, you're aware of it, right? And we did not plan for this. You all had similar background like you have now, like beige. And
yes.
I swear to God, Stephen, it looked as if they were in the same room. The final edit, and this was not planned. We figured we didn't want to do it like that. We just wanted that it looks like you guys were talking to each other, regardless of where you were. But it came back to the fact that you all had the beige background, and you looked as if you were in the same room. So it was good.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask this one for you, Deborah, and then I'll ask Nena. What setbacks did you experience while doing this, and how did you deal with them?
I think the time zone is a really strong one. And I think creating as well. So for both the Insiders and then the Multinational, as I want to jump into it, the creation of the character is always something that I really enjoy doing, and I have a lot of fun with it. But sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming as you're trying to understand where I feel as an actress, where I feel like the character should go, and then you have where the director thinks the character should go, and where the producer thinks the character should go, and you're just having to put it all together and basically have just a bunch of lots of ideas, and you have to combine them all and make sure that the character, everybody agrees with the character and it's going the right direction. And again, they're both opposite characters. If I get Elena and if I get Blair, which is the one that I play in Multinational Trilogue, they're complete opposites. And even Blair is completely opposite of who I am in real life. So I think just finding this combination of agreeing where the character should be, who the character is, and how the best way to portray it so everybody who's watching it can also understand, all the behind the scenes process that we did, that you can see it when performing. I think that was like the biggest one.
And I'm going to pose the same question to you, Nena. What sort of setbacks did you come across, and how did you overcome them?
I would tend to agree with Deborah. It's mainly about getting the timings right, getting everybody's availability. Sometimes the time zone doesn't work. Sometimes the day doesn't work. You obviously want to give people chance to do like a rehearsal before you send them off to, So I actually don't know if other people who record remotely they do table reads, but we did that, right, Deborah? You guys had 2 or 3 rehearsals to kind of get the feeling of each other's, so how to bounce off the characters. Mm-hmm. So just to, again, planning, just to organize everything, to set everything up. I didn't have a role in the rehearsal, but I was the one organizing and checking everybody's timing, availability, work, school, college, everybody has a life. So, and the 3 of them do comes from the different, backgrounds in that respect. So then that was the setback. But I think once you remove that, and when you are a little bit, and know how to relax, and everything will work out in the end, then yeah, everything works out in the end.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? It's because obviously I'm not someone that's been a director. I mean, I've done self tapes for the kids and stuff like that. I'm no good with the camera.
Director, then, let me tell you, if you've done self tapes with kids, you are the director.
I think you should see them first. They're not that great.
Okay.
I do my best, but it's always. I find it interesting and very fascinating because whenever I've seen a director and somebody getting across their vision of what they want, it's always great to see the balance of people who take on board what the direction they get in, to those that feel that they can just be a bit more creative with their own influence, if you see what I mean. Deborah, how did you get that across? How did you get your own personality and your vision, knowing that you wanted to make it right for what Nena's vision is, and how did you get your personality across?
Mm-hmm. It was a really safe space for creativity, and I'm really thankful for that. And I'm really thankful that Nena herself, when she reached out to me, she was like, here's kind of the vibe of the character, but whatever you feel safe or more comfortable doing, feel free to do so. And I think that's really important, and that really helps a lot. And then when it comes to acting more, for example, with Blair, I did more of personality because that's just really different for me. It's a complicated job. I don't think people understand how much work behind the scenes goes and how much study you have to do in order to put a character on screen and bring a character to life. And sometimes it's interesting to cross the paths of what I think as a person and what I think the character thinks as well. But sometimes it's really important to separate both of them. And then it can be hard sometimes. Both of them can be hard. You portray yourself, but not yourself, but similar to yourself, and completely drifting those two apart. So I think having a safe space for creativity, it's really, really important, and it helps a lot. And it helps you clearly see, as I said before, where is the story going? Where is the character going? Is everyone on board? Because the story is as much of the director as it of the writers, as it's of the producers, as it's of the actors. So getting everybody together and understanding this and having a free space to create and to have the conversations and to be okay with giving ideas and all of that, it's really, really important.
And Nena, for yourself, you've obviously given your actresses the freedom to do that, and how has that been for you? Were you? Is it something that you actively wanted? I mean, you have talked about it a bit, but what if it didn't go as to plan? You know, what would you have stepped in?
To be honest, since all of them are training acting and they're, working on their craft, I wasn't even thinking that I was qualified to tell them anything. I gave them the idea of what the story should convey as a message, and the three characters was always supposed to be very different. That was the starting point and the finishing point. And then they took all of their training and experience and mirror whatever they've seen out there, and they have brought the soul of the character by themselves. I think this is like how it was, Deborah. This is how I remember it, at least, because the idea was one is mean, the other is very good, and the third is in the middle, and then you guys go with it, and however you and then I'm telling you, they did such an amazing job. I mean, it's really, really fun to watch. Deborah, I always loved your Blair, you know that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I wouldn't really say that I may have given pointers, but I don't think it was to correct you guys. It was more to, again, maybe initiate more conversation between the three of you. Yeah.
And what would you say? What would you say you've learned from this experience? What? Let's go with Nena. Because we'll talk to you first, because this is your project. What have you learned from this experience? Because you're like Deborah, I guess you're new to this. You're new to this industry. So what have you learned?
From the two projects that we did, I learned that you will make friends and you will make enemies, same way. You will not get along with everybody. Originally, you may think you will, but it will not happen, unfortunately. But that's also okay. That's also okay. You come out of the process for sure richer for experience, richer for some connections, and whatever was not supposed to work out doesn't work out. But that's also fine. I think I was talking to somebody recently, and I was kind of trying to downplay and say it's a short movie, it's just won a few awards, nothing much, monthly awards, things like that. And they said, no, you made a movie. So I'm like, well, actually, yeah, we made a movie. So I think it's an accomplishment for sure. And I've learned that obviously it can be done. We learned a lot of lessons, I think, Deborah. We learned that editing could take forever, which is not something that I liked, but I had to cope with, We also learned that sound also is not perfect all the time, but then you have to go back more than once and try to fix it. So I feel we learned, I can say for myself, I learned a lot of technical stuff. I've learned a lot of personal stuff, in a sense of relationships. And as I say, my life is richer for some people in my life, and I'm really grateful for that as well.
Excellent. And Deborah, what did you learn from this experience? What did you learn?
I agree with everything that Nena said, and I also learned that I'm capable of things. As I said, the internet can be dangerous, but it can give you lots of opportunities. As I said, I met Nena on Twitter, and just broadly speaking about Twitter, I've been able to connect with lots of actors and directors and producers and other people. So it just made me feel like I'm capable. So I come from a hardworking family, from a simple background in Brazil, in the countryside. So acting here is not exactly, for example, it's not super easy or achievable and all of that. But it showed me that I am capable. I can do something. I don't need to always rely on people. Acting has a lot of relying on other people. For example, you've got to wait for the casting director to give you the audition request for the interview audition, and then they have to pick you. So there's a lot of things that don't go in our control. And I realized that I can control a lot of things, and I can achieve a lot of things if I believe in myself. And then, as Nena said, when you make friends and you make nice people that either have the same goal as you or just want to create like you want to create, it's lovely. But it's also really important, as Anna said, again, you'll not get along with everyone. And it's not always personal. It's not always because maybe you're a bad person or anything like that. It's just life, you know, life is life. And sometimes you get along with people, sometimes you don't. Sometimes things work out perfectly, sometimes they don't. Sometimes something you thought would take 30 seconds takes 30 days.
Right.
You know, it's,
yeah.
You just have to accept that as it is. So I think it was really a learnable experience in many, many areas.
Debora, I'm just going to ask, so, because I know this is one that will that comes up a lot, and I mean, when I say it comes up a lot, just in everyday life, how do you react to people that you don't get along with? You know, for whatever reasons, personality clash, whatever. If you have to work with somebody like that, how do you cope with it?
I believe respect is the foundation of everything. So as long as you have respect, for example, for the person's work and that they're doing their job and they're there to do their job, I think it's possible for you to get along. I'm not a person that likes to fight or confront people. So as I said, respect. As long as you're in a place where you respect people and you understand that, then things can work well. And I think it also comes a lot from you understanding who you are, and you understand that there's nothing wrong with you. It's not personal. People have other lives. You know, they have sometimes, you know, say not getting along. Maybe you meet someone on a date that they're just not in a good day, and then you think it's about you. But no, people have their lives. It's not always about us. It's not always about you. And just respect people, respect their space, respect their opinions as much as you can. Of course, you know, sometimes that can be debatable, but just respect people. And I think that's the best thing. I don't think there's much to say besides that.
And then what about you? That's
what was the question again? How do you get along with people that you don't get along with?
Yes, yeah. Personality clashes.
Well, you definitely need to always try to avoid conflict, as Debora is saying, because if we're talking about working relationship, in the end, if you have to finish the work, you have to finish the work. So just minimizing the conflict, you know, listening to the other side, trying to get at least halfway, if, you know, and I mean, meeting the person halfway, and just continuing with the work. As Debora said, it's not personal. You may have clash of opinions. You just don't see things in the same way, but we have to finish this job, this project, whatever, this initiative. So let's just get it done. And then we don't have to be friends. We are not related. We can just, you know, shake our hand, and that's what it is.
It's, you know what, it's an interesting one, because Debora, you touched on it, and then you touched on it as well. And the respect has to be there for both of you. You know, you both need to have that level of respect of just going, right, what are we here to do? We're here to achieve something.
Right.
That respect should help you achieve what you need to achieve. And I suppose if one doesn't want to achieve what the other wants to achieve, then that respect sort of goes, doesn't it? And it's then just a case of, well, can we continue to work together and get the job done? Like you, Debora, I'm somebody that just believes, look, we're not all going to get along in it, and it's fine. It's fine. It's just the way it is. NLP teaches us that different people are different ways. So some people are very expressive and they use their hands, and that's how they communicate with people. And some people may take that as somebody being over the top, and some people are very visual. Some people are very you know, there's different types of people, and it's understanding. I suppose it's understanding the person that you're dealing with and knowing how to deal with them that makes that whole transition a bit easier. So yeah, it can be a bit of a difficult one, but it's interesting to always hear what people think about that and how to deal with those sort of situations. So good advice. I would like to know what you both think of the industry. So, you know, I suppose, Nena, you're relatively new to it, and Debora, as a training actress, you're relatively new to it as well. What do you think of the industry, Nena?
Well, I may not have enough input, but the things, I mean, mainly I'm coming from the position of being a mom of a young actress, and for better or worse, we live in this part of the world, and there's not many opportunities here for, let's say, renowned productions. It's more of a different type of work, more commercials, I would say. But the thing that I've noticed, and I remember you touched with that, I think with Patricia as well, the difference between the US and the UK, because my daughter Calista, she had some connections with US, and she's having obviously connections with UK for acting. And then I noticed a lot of differences in the industry, saying requirements for headshots, requirements for show reels, requirements for what is a good experience, what is not. One will tell you, no way you should put an extra or a supporting actor on your CV. The other will say, put any work on your CV because that work will get you maybe a bigger role. So this is something that I've noticed as being a complete, novice in the industry. There is a lot of differences depending on where you want to work or where your work may be, placed. So I'm still juggling and trying to understand and collecting all the differences and trying to do the right thing and support Calista in the right way. And then the other thing, I don't know if it's answering your question or not, is I think everybody's saying this nowadays. Oh, since COVID, we all moved to self-tapes. The world is opening. I hope it's true, because that will also give opportunity to Debora, where she's at, and to Calista, where we are at. So the actors around the world are hopefully getting more and more chances. This is a good thing, I'm hoping. And yeah, that's it for now. That's it for now, in my opinion.
Thank you. And Debora, what do you think of the industry so far in your career?
I agree with Nena when she talks about the world opening up with self-tapes. And I think we have actually evolved a lot in that. With COVID, your self-tapes nowadays, for example, I'll talk about me. I have auditioned for projects that one day I could only dream of, and that's because of the ability to self-tape. But I think we still have a long way to go. I think the industry still has a lot of things to involve. As for example, I'm in Brazil. Sometimes you reach out to casting directors or something, and then they say, oh, you can't audition because you're in another country. Or for example, that limit to you not being physically in the country already. For example, for immigrants, the visa issue, a lot. For example, it's something in the industry that I think people should involve more. Just be open-minded. You have the ability to give actors a chance to self-tape. So let the people from the world self-tape, not just the ones that are already in the country. Just help people get opportunities. But overall, I think the industry, as Nena also said, it has a lot of specificities to it. The UK is a way, the United States is different, Brazil is different, Australia is different. Whatever country it is, it's really different. And as actors, not just we have to adapt to characters, but we have to adapt to what the industry requires of us. And I think basically, that would be that. I think I like the industry. I'm going to be honest. I said a lot of down points, but I like the industry. I like the acting industry and business and all of that. But I think we also have a lot to improve on and to involve as well.
Debora, it's interesting because I usually ask people how they feel the industry can improve. Both of you have touched on certain things in terms of being able to record your self-tape and then send it off, and then getting visas or whatever to travel places. So you touched on a few things. It's always good to hear a wider spectrum. So Debora, how can the industry improve in your eyes? Feel like if you want to go into a bit more detail.
Yes, absolutely. So I think this one is actually something that I was talking to Nena before. So we're thinking about possible markets. So, there's the industry market in the United States, there's the industry market in Canada, there is the United Kingdom and all of that. And then as for both immigrants, to these countries, then we would require visas and all of that. And then me and Calista, Nena's daughter, we have been through, when we were agent hunting, all of the time, the thing was always, oh, do you have a visa? Or, oh, I can't represent you because what if you get an audition and then you can't come here or anything like that. So I would say what I would like the industry to improve on is be more open-minded. For example, as I said, self-tapes. you know, I can completely audition for any project as I am right now here in Brazil. You know, I can film myself and I can self tape. And I would like to be seen by other people, you know, outside of the limits of my country and all of that. But it's still something that's people are slowly evolving. We have been seeing worldwide casting calls more often. I think that was something. And then there's another one which is kind of funny, kind of. There's a typecast. So for the people who don't know what a typecast is, it's for example, someone look at you. What can you play? Can you be the girl next door? Are you the psychopath? Are you the funny coworker? And I feel like I understand why they happen. I understand where they come from and why they're necessary. But I also feel like they limit the actor's creative choice to a bigger level. And then again, jumping on the fact because you know, something I cannot ignore. No, I'm Brazilian, so being from Latin America, and I think Jenna Ortega jumped on that topic once. There are a lot of characters out there that, for example, their whole personality is simply being from Latin America. Like they're not funny or, you know, mean or anything like that. They're, you know, Latinos. So I think the typecast is something that I think the industry should improve on because it's a creative industry. So we should be able to create, not be limited. And I feel like that's what either, you know, the 2 points that I mentioned do a lot. They limit us a lot in a career that should be limitless.
I totally agree. It should be limitless, and you should be able to. I do believe, and I've talked about it in previous ones and stuff that you'll see come up and over the weeks and stuff. Is it's a risk. Everything is a risk, and more risk. This is a risk industry, and more risks should be taken. More risks in terms of how you are cast for a particular role. Just because somebody looks like they may be perfect for, you know, the girl next door, as you say, or whatever, doesn't make them the right person for the particular role. Give them the crazy psycho role for, you know, for get them out of their comfort zone and see what that actor or actress can do to be the best them.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. It's about taking those risks. Nana, what about you? In your short time, how would you what sort of things would you improve?
I'm a little bit biased here when I say this, and because I'm personally very passionate about environmental protection and sustainability. So I have gone on the ones that I saw available, all the webinars and seminars you can get your hands on regarding sustainable productions. And even the Insiders, the project that we did, we've tried to manage it in a way that it's as sustainable as possible regarding reusage of material, recycling, and all that. This is something that I see, well, especially in the part of the world that we live in, it's still in its very beginnings. I know that maybe some more advanced part of the world regarding sustainable productions are, you know, higher up. But here in the UAE, we are at the very beginning, I think, and it's an area where we can really, really grow. I'm personally passionate about it, and I think that it's not that hard. It's, again, about planning, about thinking ahead. You know, what are we doing? What are the steps? What are we going to do with this waste? What are we going to do with this, you know, bottle? And what are we going to do with this paper at the end of the production? So it's not that simple. I just simplified it for the discussion, but this is something that I would love to see industry thinking about more. And I read so many articles and movies actually saving millions of money just because they have implemented the sustainable, you know, thinking and just waste management. Spider-Man Way Home, I think they've saved like £500,000 or dollars just because they've done the waste management program, and they didn't dump all the waste and paid for the dumpage of the waste, but the materials were reused. So this is something that I think the industry has a space to grow.
Waste is one of those things. Even in my day-to-day work, I talk about waste a lot. In terms of there's something called Lean Sigma, and it's interesting because Lean teaches you how to reduce the waste of a certain process and a certain project to make things more, as you say, it makes it better, basically. And if you reduce the waste and you reduce your carbon footprint and all those things, and you're more sustainable because you're not just going, oh yes, let's just throw money at this and throw money at that and throw money at this, and then I suppose you're able to, that money that you're saving in other areas, you're able to pay people better as well, which is what some of the things that I've talked to people about in the industry have spoken about, and it's you know, being fairly paid for their time and their efforts, and you know, if you cut out the waste of money.
Yeah. So, for example, if you save money on, as you said, on your proper processes, or just on the physical stuff like waste, you can maybe reward people more. So that would be a nice, you know, battle to win.
No, definitely. Like I said, it's the interesting part for me with improving the industry is, whether you're new to the industry or in the industry for a long time, everybody says there's room for improvement. But the industry itself doesn't allow for these rooms of improvement. They allow for it in minute ways in certain things, but the overall feeling is there's a lot of ways to improve the industry, to take it to the next level, to take it where it needs to be able to go, yes, we know what, we've got Debora in Brazil, we've got Nena in the UAE, and you guys can do your bits there, you know, whether it's a short film or a feature film or a TV series, you guys can do your bits there without having to travel, and the interaction can still look like it's in one place. You know, that reduces your carbon footprint, that reduces the amount of money that you're spending on traveling with people and equipment, and you're able to do these things. So yeah, I like improvement, basically. So I always try and get that question in. What advice would you give yourself if you could go back in time? So it's a bit, we're at different levels here. So, but you're both starting your careers in the industry, you know, in recent times. So what advice would you go back and give yourself if you know, yourself just starting up now, Debora?
You know, there is a difference between the dream of being an actor and what you think it is from the reality of the business and the industry. And I think that's where I would most to understand what the industry is, what is the requirement, as you talked about before, headshots, skills, res, what are those things? For a long time, I had the dream in my head. I thought that I would just, let's say, sit on my couch, and then suddenly an email would pop up from, let's say, I don't know, Steven Spielberg, and then he would say, "Oh, you look like the actress for the lead role that I need," you know, and that's not it. So I would say deal more with reality, and that also touches point in another thing, as you know, reality is reality, life is life, and acting is really uncertain. It's uncertain to the positive point of, you know, I may finish this interview and get an audition right off of my email that, you know, I can change my life, but that can take 5 years, that can take 10, that may never happen. But life still is going on, you know. You need to understand, you know, the reality. And then I would say the last thing would be to trust myself more, you know, trust my abilities, and also understand, just because I didn't book the lead role of this big production in my first ever audition, that doesn't mean I suck at acting. That doesn't mean I'm terrible at acting. That's a stereotype that many people have. You know, if you're not successful at your first ever audition, then you're a bad actor. You know, and I'm really thankful that I came from the very bottom, let's say, you know, of the industry, of understanding the business and then auditioning and doing student films and actual work, and you know, all of these small things to understand that an actor is an actor. You don't need to be a lead role in a Marvel movie to be an actor. No, an actor that's in that position is no less or more of an actor than I am in my position right now. And I think the earlier you understand these things, the more you enjoy the industry, the more you enjoy the journey, and it will be good for yourself as well in your mindset.
It's, you know what, exactly that. It's you've got to have that positive mindset, and just know that we look at some of your Hollywood actors, for example, who start at 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old, or have been in the industry for such a long time, just doing small parts, and then finally had their they're one chance.
Yes.
If you enjoy it, you keep on doing it. And like I said, the difficulty with that is making sure you have a good support network behind you, and being able to support yourself, more importantly. But it's a beautiful thing when people just go, I do it because I enjoy it. And if you do it because you'll enjoy it, every day, every job will be your biggest one. One guy whose podcast that you've got to look out for, Martin, he treats every job like it's his last one or it's the best one. Like this is the best project, and he's a rebellion. He likes to do things that that challenge him, that take him to a different place as an actor. And yeah, if you get a chance, listen to that one. His was brilliant, and it's the same sort of things that, like you're saying, Deborah. It's just being able to go, you know what, I enjoy it. This is what I enjoy doing, and I'm not always going to be the main lead, but I might get a supporting lead. I might just get 2 lines in this one, but you enjoy the process, and that's fantastic. Nena,
did we just get interrupted in a second, or was it just me?
Sorry?
For me, it was just black screen for a second. Maybe it was just me. I don't know.
Mine was fine. Okay, what advice would you give yourself?
Sentences at the end. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Yeah.
There's a way to edit it. There's a way to edit this all together that one of my friends is helping me with. So it'll all be fine. But we won't edit this bit out. Cool. It's just part and parcel. And then what about you? What advice would you give to yourself going back two years or so, getting into the industry?
I don't know, actually. I never thought about it. I'm at the beginning. There's nothing. I don't know, actually. What advice would I give? Well, one of the things that I definitely would give myself is there's no need to rush things. Things will happen at their own pace. And trust. I know it's such a cliche and such a corny thing to say, trust the process, but obviously in the end, it all works out. Mm-hmm. There's more than one way to reach the destination. There is not only one route. It doesn't have to be linear. You can, go around the corner. You can go over the hill, and you will still reach there wherever you are meant to go. So I think that's what I would tell myself, not to worry and just trust the process. It will happen.
It's I'm going to just go slightly off topic, but I have to get it in. I'm an Arsenal fan, so an Arsenal football fan, and for years we've been trusting the process, and we're now seeing the fruits of that labour. So I've got to get an Arsenal shout out in every couple of my podcasts. But the process is exactly that, and it is a lot of trust and a lot of motivation. Something that you guys know that you have to do for yourselves. What motivates you? Nena, what motivates you?
What motivates me? Fun, the fun part of it. It's very different from my 9-to-5 job, which is mainly to do with papers and reading and just checking things. And then here I get to kind of be more creative and fun and just, I guess, I don't know, once I had what do you call it? The natal chart, the horoscope done. And the person who did it, she asked me, are you writing? I'm like, no, of course not. And they're like, you should. It's in your natal chart. I'm like, well, I haven't. So now 10 years after that, I'm writing small scenes for the actresses. So there you go. I guess the fact that I still feel that I can give things to the community, to the people around me, even though, maybe it's not my daily job, it's not my vocation, it's not my education, but I'm, venturing into new fields. This is what motivates me. There is just new things happening around me.
You see, now, as I talked a moment ago about people starting off the industry in different times and motivation and stuff like that. Obviously, I should have just used you as the example there. You're somebody that's come into the industry just 2 years ago, and you're starting off, and this is it. This is what motivates us. This is what will motivate others.
To start whenever you want. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's it. Deborah, what about you? What motivates you? What gets you going?
Anytime that I feel down or anything like that, I remember my version of myself, years ago, accomplishing things that at a point I could only dream of. For example, doing interview, doing press, having a movie that's winning awards, even speaking English. It used to be just something that I could only dream years ago. And then I remember and I think about how excited I would be if let's say my younger version could see myself right now. And that motivates me to keep going. This passion, this happiness, the butterflies in the stomach, and all of that. And I hope to one day, I don't know, if I could motivate one person, someone looks at something that I did and feel like, you know what, I think I am capable to. I think, that's it for me. I hope to do something like that today. And if I can spread positivity and hope and inspiration for people, then that's what I want to do. And then I feel like each day in my career, I am progressing more to that goal. I meet new people. I'm starting new projects that may reach to other people. So each day I'm closer and closer to that. And I hope to be inspiring more and more people and making my younger version happier and happier. So that's my biggest, full of motivation.
Well, look, that's like I said, that's the beauty of it. Is every story inspires somebody, and all it takes is just one.
Right.
Movie cliches, TV show cliches, whatever they are, just takes one. It's that one spark, and that's what will happen, Deborah, and then that's what will happen with your stories. That's what will happen with your acting and your directing, and how you put that out there and tell your stories so that people understand it, find it funny, find it sad, and have an affiliation for it. I'd like to say that you've both done fantastic in your early careers, and long may it continue. Please do keep on inspiring yourselves and your loved ones and others around you, and people that watch your stuff. I'm gonna say I'm gonna end on this one, and why? This is a bit of a difficult one. Let's. Who would you interview if you had an opportunity to interview somebody? Who would you interview and why? Nena.
Oh my God. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
It doesn't have to be an actor, a director, anybody. It can be anybody. Who would you interview?
No, nothing. I mean, only now actors or directors come to mind, and then everybody. I don't know. You know what? I think the person that came to my mind is Goldie Hawn, just because she has a relationship with her daughter, who is an actress. And I follow them both on Instagram, and I'm watching their stories, and I'm looking at, how they as a family function apart from being famous actresses. So yeah, I think I would like to exchange few words with her if possible. Yeah.
And Deborah, who would you like to interview and why?
I would like to have a full life interview with my grandfather. His name is Miguel, and because he had just the coolest life story. So he went from being a farmer to them. He had a band in the 60s, and then him and two of his friends, they were out competing, and he plays instruments. And then after that, he had his fun with the entertainment industry for a while, just local and all of that. And then he played soccer for a while. He played football for a while. And then he decided to change careers again. And then he started a family. And then, he's just like raising all of us. And then here I am. And every time he tells the story, it's always fascinating to me. I love his stories. I love to him talk about them. He's 86, by the way. He still remembers small details of his life. I feel like if I could get my grandfather and I would write a book about his entire life, I would, and I would publish to the world because it's just fascinating to me. I love him so much, and I would say he's my favorite person in the world as well. So I would definitely like to interview him.
It's funny because that question is always for some reason it throws people because you got Deborah on one hand that says, you know what, my grandfather, and like I said, I open up to like whoever you want to interview because it's people will often go, you know what, this person motivated me or inspired me to want to do this particular field of work, and more times out of 10, it's usually a family member. It's somebody's just going to them, yeah, you know what, this is my story, and they tell little stories, and people pick it up. And for yourself, Nena, it's interesting because although you had to think about it, there was somebody there. There was somebody there that you follow, which is Goldie Hawn and her daughter, and you relate it to your own with yourself and your daughter, and it's always interesting to get that question out. I would like to thank you both for joining me this evening. And again, my apologies for keeping you waiting. Like you, I work daily 9 to 5, and it's never quite 9 to 5. It's more like 9 to 6, 7 o'clock in the evening.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
But thank you for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for having us. It was lovely to chat with you. Really, I really had a great time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. They call me Stepney. This way, Nena.
Yeah.
Deborah, thank you very much for joining me from 2 different time zones. We're 3 different time zones. It's my first 3 different time zones conversation.
There you go.
High five.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
I look forward to your future projects. You will keep me updated of them, of course. And of course, at some point, I will get you back on to find out how things are going and everything else. So once again, they call me Stepney. This is Behind the Scenes. She's been Nena. She's been Deborah. This has been a great show. Take care, everybody, and we shall see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Oh, hold on. I'm having technical difficulties here. Here we go. Let's try this again. Keep waiting.